everyone. This is Justin Horwitz with SVN Commercial Real Estate. Today I'm joined by JP Grako of Purpose Healing Center. I've had the privilege of working with JP now for the last year or so, working with him with his company, with the expansion of the business, and more specifically today talking about one of their locations that we have the opportunity to take to the market, as an investment property. So, in an effort to really educate, the market and prospective investors, wanted to, introduce JP and share his, background in the business and the business itself. So JP, thanks for joining me. I appreciate you being here today and taking the time to do this.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks.
Yeah, for sure. So why don't we start with this? Why don't we just start with a little introduction about yourself, how you got into the, the behavioral health, the mental health, the recovery industry.
So we actually opened Purpose Healing Center in 2018. I was personally involved in the recovery industry for a few years prior to that. I got into industry from personal experience. It's something I went through personally many years ago, as well as something my brother went through. Friends, family, I'm sure everyone has stories about, someone that's either in recovery or been impacted by someone who's in recovery. So that's how I originally started. We started on the sober living side of the business. This was 2014 when we opened up some sober living homes. And then I partnered with my current partners to open Purpose Healing Center in 2018 to get into the treatment side of the business. And in 2018, we opened with just one house, and we had 10 beds and an outpatient treatment clinic in Scottsdale. Our goal from the beginning was always to help as many people as possible, as well as help an underserved population, which is a Medicaid population. We started out with 0 Medicaid contracts when you opened, so we took some commercial insurance, and throughout the years, we're able to sign and execute those contracts with Medicaid. There's multiple contracts with the state of Arizona. There's 7 right now currently. So that's kind of fueled our expansion as well, and just kept growing from there. We opened a residential treatment center in 2019, so additional 10 beds, and continued to expand at an outpatient level. And then on this specific building, we purchased and funded construction of, started at end of 2020 and 2021. And finally opened the inpatient center, which is a inpatient detox and inpatient residential facility in Phoenix at the end of 2022. And since then, we've continued expansion. We're at 180 inpatient / sober living beds that are either attending inpatient treatment or outpatient services at one of our clinics.
Yeah, that's a pretty massive expansion in such a short period of time when you really think about it. So talk to me as far as when you're talking about inpatient and outpatient, and particularly this building at 24th and McDowell. Talk to me about what it takes to be able to, what's involved with inpatient and overnight treatments, how long they're being treated, and more specifically, what's the special type of licensing that you need to get to even be able to do that at a building like that?
Yeah, so that building specifically, we actually have 2 separate levels of care. We have a detox level of care and an inpatient residential level of care, which are 2 separate licenses, even though it's under the same roof, and there's a separate licensing process for each. On the detox side, it's considered a medical license. It's basically similar to a hospital licensing process. So it's technically an inpatient behavioral health hospital. And that licensing process looks at physical plant standards, how your build out is, making sure everything's up to par from a safety level, as well as a treatment and staffing level to obtain that license. Between the build out and then also staffing and get everything ready, that took us almost 2 years to do. And then on the residential side, it's similar. It's very similar standards. It's a separate license. It's behavioral health residential facility license, kind of a separate department, but it's a very similar process. It just has different standards.
Pretty safe to say, like, these licensing, I mean, it's very specialized, not something you just pick up and move, not easy to just get on any building, correct? I mean, this is something that takes a lot of time to specifically get to your building.
No, not easy to get, and it's something that's very, very valuable to us. That's been very steady for our business as soon as we opened that location. And it's something that cannot easily be replicated. I wish it could be, for our sake, but for competition's sake, it's not. Yeah, not quite as easy. So that's a good and bad thing for us. I wish it was easier so we could expand quicker, but it's not the case.
For sure. And sort of away from the specialized treatment side of things, but equally as important, in my opinion, is you mentioned the renovation you did to the building. I mean, can you just touch on all the different components that, I mean, you took this building and stripped it down and rebuilt it basically, but can you touch on the specific renovations?
Yeah. So we found a building. It used to be a conference center. And we basically kept 4 walls. It was a complete renovation, gutted everything on the inside. Everything is brand new, including underground and on the roof. So started from the floor, underneath the floor, all the way up, in terms of the plumbing for the detox and residential side specifically. So we built it where each bedroom has its own bathroom. So you can imagine the plumbing required for that. And it has its own shower, toilet. All of those fixtures also have to be what's called anti-ligature, meaning someone can't harm themselves in one of the rooms. So those are all specialty products that we had to purchase and get installed. And then from there, it's just more of layout and staffing and how everything works and flows. And we have nurses stations that you have to build out in there, which has specialty equipment, as well as, all the way down to the doors. We have card access, key card access throughout the whole building. So it was a pretty extensive process. I'm sure I missed several things there, but you can imagine that it was definitely a large project that we took on.
Well, I mean, just knowing a little bit about it, I mean, from the real estate, the structural side of things, I mean, the plumbing, the roof, the AC, like you said, down to 4 walls and rebuilt electrical. I mean, these are all major things when you look at buildings, and having those up to date is big. But then the amount of specialization that you put into the building, again, it just goes right back to that, same thing with the licensing, this concept of not easy to replicate, not easy to pick up and move. And it just makes for a business that's very committed to a building, and very sticky as far as their connectivity to that building for the long term. You can't just do that for a short term. So as far as like the industry as a whole, I mean, you touched on this earlier. Addiction and mental health in general is something that I think everyone can relate to. It's anyone probably has a degree or two of separation from having either personally been impacted by it or knowing someone. And I think that's really important to touch on when we talk about this industry. Is it's not, it doesn't discriminate who it impacts, and I mean, you probably have seen that firsthand with your business. I mean, everybody in all walks of life can be impacted by this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, our mission from the very beginning was to help as many people as possible and provide the same level of care for somebody that's any walk of life, including the Medicaid population, which was an underserved population. We still take commercial insurance patients. We have, private pay, cash pay patients, but like I said, it was always our mission to serve as many people as possible. And being able to accept everyone was the first goal for us. So we accept Medicaid, commercial insurance, private pay, basically anyone can come in our facility, give us a call, and we'll place them somewhere. So that's huge for us.
Yeah, and because of that, I mean, because you have such an ability to take on a diverse range of patients, I mean, as far as the political landscapes and the ever-changing, world that we're in, I mean, does that overly impact your group at all as far as things you're looking out for? Are you feeling like this is a demand, it's going to be a demand for a long time, and we're able to field the demand regardless?
I always say, anyone asks me questions like that, unfortunately, we are always busy.
Yeah.
Because, fortunately, we get to help a lot of people. We have, space in our facilities that can service a lot of people. We're currently expanding. We've been in growth mode since the beginning, and we're currently still in growth mode. But it's unfortunate because that means the numbers that we're seeing out there, they continue to go up in terms of the mental health and the addiction side of things. It's not, the problem is not going away in terms of that landscape. Yeah, so it's unfortunate, but at least we get to, help a lot of people, and we're continuing to expand so we can help even more people.
I'm going to lob one at you that you probably get quite often, but when you get folks that, are looking at your industry, how do you explain to them the difference between what Purpose Healing is doing and the reputation you've built versus maybe the stigma that the number of bad apples ruined for the rest, whatever that narrative is? I mean, how do you explain to them why Purpose Healing is different?
I think there's a few specific areas. The stigma has definitely gotten better overall with addiction, in our country, especially from, even 5-10 years ago. So that's a good thing. They're pushing more people towards mental health treatment, towards substance use treatment, rather than, an incarceration route or, some other route. So court systems and, county systems have definitely caught up to help more people in that regard. There's definitely the other stigma of, bad operators or bad apples that, take advantage of those systems. What I always tell people is that, Purpose Healing Center has what I think the best brand in Maricopa County. As of right now, we're pretty close. I believe we're the largest private provider in Maricopa County of addiction treatment. There are a few nonprofits that are larger than us, but as far as private facilities, we have the most bed space. We have the most, our current census is, I want to say, 250 people we're servicing on a daily basis, including outpatient level of care. We would not get to where we are being a bad apple or taking shortcuts or, doing those things that you hear about other people doing with very good reputation with the court system, with the jail system. We take, people directly from jail. We work directly with county prosecutors. We work directly with probation officers, law enforcement. So we have a very good reputation in that regard that we've built, and I'm super, super proud of. And that's allowed us to continue to expand. Yeah.
I think there's a ton to be proud of there. And again, just from like the real estate investment and underwriting side of things, which is my world, you've got a quality business with a quality, model and vision, and you're in an industry that is like you said, it's unfortunate, but unfortunate in the sense that it's in demand. It seems to be growing in demand, and there unfortunately is a stigma that people need to get over, and it's a reality of something we need. And look, from a real estate investment side, I'll sometimes see businesses, medical businesses, and I won't name which ones, but 5-10 years ago, everybody wanted to buy a medical investment property, and there's plenty of medical businesses that I think are, sort of becoming less and less in demand. And so if you're looking at, alternative options, I mean, your business, your model is just something that's just going to keep growing and growing. So, with that in mind and this growth in mind, I mean, where do you see Purpose Healing, in 5 years from now?
Like I said, we're still in growth mode. We're currently expanding. We have plans right now to open new outpatient clinics in the West Valley and in the East Valley. So expanding our footprint throughout Maricopa County, as well as at the same time, we're looking for opportunities outside of the county as well as outside of the state. So we will be in Tucson within the next 2 years. That's a goal for us that we're currently acting on. And then the second larger goal is to expand to out-of-state facilities. We're currently looking in Las Vegas, Nevada area, as well as other contiguous states, Colorado, New Mexico, but really focusing right now probably on the Las Vegas and somewhere in Colorado as well. So large expansion plans. We're currently in, I would say, phase one of the out-of-state plans, but we're already moving forward with our additional West Valley, East Valley locations, and Tucson locations.
Yeah. So, I mean, fair to say that when we're looking at, a situation, again, back to this 24th Street McDowell deal, probably pretty fair to say that there's real plans for when you talk about the disposition of a piece of real estate, certainly to help fund all this expansion and growth you're talking about, I would imagine. So reinvesting into the business.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's
cool.
Definitely the plan. I mean, we own and operate sober living homes as well, like I talked about. So yeah, the proceeds from this will just go directly into either funding additional sober living homes or properties in other areas that we can help more people in.
Well, I, for one, appreciate everything you guys are doing. I appreciate you taking the time to be here. You guys are killing it. I know you're helping a lot of people, and it's a much needed service that you're offering. So, on behalf of probably a lot of people, thank you for everything you guys are doing.
Yeah, thank you. Really appreciate the time, Justin.
All right, well, cool. Thank you very much for being with us, and hopefully this answers a lot of folks' questions. And of course, if not, they can always reach out to me. So again, I'm Justin Horwitz with SVN, JP Grako with Purpose Healing. Thank you very much, and have a great day.
Thanks.